We know that many of you out there are going to feel like Halo Campaign Evolved is familiar, almost like swimming or riding a bike, when you first dive into it, given that it's probably been among your favorite games over the years. But given that this one's the first multi-console release in the franchise's history, we're sure to have a few players diving into the chaos of Master Chief's adventures for the first time through no fault of our own. We've been spending some time with the game and have come away with a few useful pointers for you to keep in mind, whether you're a returning veteran or a new recruit to the cause. Besides Plasma Pistol being good for disabling shields, we have a lot to cover here, so let's begin. Number 1. Leave nothing behind. Some areas can become inaccessible once you pass certain mission transition points, so it pays to make sure you're properly equipped before moving on. If you're approaching an obvious doorway, elevator, or major transition, take a moment to check nearby weapons and ammo. Swapping out depleted weapons or topping up your ammunition before continuing can save you from entering the next encounter poorly prepared. Number 2. An interesting use for the Plasma Pistol. Fully charging up a shot with the Plasma Pistol makes it act like an EMP that can be very handy in vehicle-heavy encounters if you want to save your rockets for later. It works on ghosts, wraiths, and other vehicles, and can be very nifty once you get used to deploying it precisely. It's going to work well with another tip that's coming up, and can be quite a potent combo in situations where you could use a little bit of breathing room. That happens quite a lot in this one. Number 3. Use EMP windows to hijack vehicles. Vehicle hijacking is now possible in Campaign Evolved, letting you commandeer vehicles and turn them against the enemy. A fully charged plasma pistol shot can temporarily disable vehicles, giving you a much easier opportunity to close the distance and hijack them. This can be especially useful against fast-moving vehicles like ghosts, where trying to board them while they're still mobile can be considerably more dangerous. Number 4. Capture those wraiths. Building on our last couple of points, if you see a wraith in action operating against you, it isn't a reason to try and avoid it, but actually an opportunity to commandeer a very potent vehicle with simple tactics. The EMP is once again your best friend here, and getting your hands on a wraith gives you some very heavy armor that projects some serious firepower in a fight. They're a priority, and a very rewarding one at that. Number 5. Be ready to be boarded. We've been talking a lot about boarding enemy vehicles, so it's probably worth mentioning that your foes are also going to try and eject you from their valuable vehicles. If you're on the move with your enemies in pursuit, it's a good idea to keep your momentum alive, and stay away from the enemy infantry who might get caught up in the crossfire with no reliable escape route on the ground. Try to dispose of threats when you're in a ghost, wraith, or other crucial vehicle, or at least shake them off before you head for safety. Number 6. Share your best loot with Marines. We've been itching to try this out ourselves, but we did catch some of our Marines using rocket launchers with devastating precision. That's because you get to exchange weapons with them, and giving them some solid gear is going to make them valuable additions to your side of the battles you'll be facing with them. Number 7. Arm Marines before getting on the Scorpion. Once you gain access to the Scorpion, know that any gear you give your Marines before they get on it remains at their disposal in subsequent battles, making the Scorpion function as a mobile squad that's armed to the teeth, and armored enough to shrug off some devastating attacks as it blazes a path across battlefields. It's honestly quite a glorious sight to see in action, and we can promise you it's going to be a while before it gets old, if it ever does, that is. Number 8. Protect your best Marines. If you've given Marines power weapons, you might want to hold off on rushing headlong into the thick of battles with the Scorpion, as taking a more measured approach could mean you make the most of their arsenal whilst avoiding unnecessary losses. Considering that each Marine uses what you've given them only when they're alive, you might want to take advantage of the Scorpion's defense and unleash its full potential when you sense safety ahead. Number 9. Save those portable overshields. A change we're really happy with is the fact that overshields are now portable instead of activating the moment you pick one up like in the original release. That means you get to save them for truly dicey situations, which we highly recommend given that they've meant the difference between surviving them or eating a ton of enemy fire without one handy. Think of them as a sort of emergency countermeasure and use them as you see fit from there. Number 10. Use active camo wisely. We know, yes, it's tempting to just take a stealthy approach when active camo as soon as you see it on the battlefield, but given that it's also usable later on, it's a good idea to save it all for a rainy day, right? They're best used when you need some breathing room to reposition, or when you've got a priority target you're trying to take out first before all heck breaks loose. Traditional backsmacks won't work exactly like they used to, and getting to enemies undetected is a lot easier if they can't actually see you. Number 11, sprint when you need to. Sprinting's quite a useful addition to the gameplay loop, and it's a great way to cross open spaces if you anticipate coming under fire when you do, and is a great way to break contact if the need arises, perhaps getting behind cover before enemy fire gets too overwhelming to effectively respond to. However, it's going to work against you if you end up sprinting into unfamiliar rooms, as you're going to need to find cover to figure out enemy formations in time to come up with a viable strategy. Number 12, don't let elites recharge their shields. The enemy AI is pretty good for the most part, and elites in particular are capable of withdrawing from a fight to recover their shields before coming back into the fray. If you've already stripped an elite's shields, you're usually better off maintaining pressure and finishing it off rather than allowing it enough breathing room to recover. Preventing shield regeneration on dangerous targets should be something you try to do as much as possible. Number 13, switch between cover positions. Speaking of elites, we found that they like to flank your position quite often this time around, effectively trying to force you to break cover while grunts and jackals try to pin you down the moment you try to make a run for it. Switching between cover positions can make it harder for elites to pin you down, while also giving you new angles to counterattack and respond to their flanking attempts. Identify multiple defensive positions and weave in and out of strategies unique to them as you go along to maximize your effectiveness out in the field. Number 14, the Magnum's precision. The Magnum has returned in all of its glory, and its potency might make you mistake it for an emergency sidearm, but if you use it against exposed infantry and suitable targets, you're going to find battles going in your favor more frequently than before you actually holstered it. If you've got something on hand for breaking shields and other defenses, the Magnum is going to be a finisher like no other, and is worth weaving into your battle plans as much as possible. Number 15, replace depleted enemy weapons. Enemy weapons can be extremely useful, but there's little reason to hang on to one once its charge or ammunition is almost depleted if a fresh replacement is nearby. Keep an eye on the weapons dropped by defeated enemies, and swap out a nearly exhausted plasma rifle, plasma pistol, or other weapon when the opportunity arises. This lets you continue making use of the arsenal without carrying a weapon that's close to becoming useless. Number 16, save your grenades for targets that matter. Grenades are definitely powerful to be sure, but they're quite scarce enough to justify saving them for bosses or groups that are proving too troublesome for your other tactics. Regular grunts and weaker targets must always draw only gunfire, with potent explosives, save for the ones where your guns aren't making enough of a dent to leave you in control of the fight at hand. They're especially effective against enemies in large clusters, positions that come heavily defended, or even places where some area damage is going to even the odds. Number 17, the faster Scorpion and Wraith. The Scorpion and Wraith are both extremely potent vehicles, but they excel in different situations. The Scorpion's heavy armor and explosive main cannon make it ideal for taking on vehicles, fortified positions, and groups of infantry, while the Wraith trades speed for heavy armor and powerful long-range plasma bombardment. Keep enemies at a comfortable distance when possible, use their firepower liberally, and watch for infantry trying to board you when fights get crowded. Number 18, take on specific roles in co-op. If you're bringing your buddies along with you, it's a good idea to approach the game with a plan, and with each of you serving specific roles on your team. So to that end, you're going to want to share the best weapons, gear, and loot that suits those roles as and when you find them, ensuring that your teammates are well equipped enough to have your back when things inevitably get nasty, and they will. It also ensures that you spread important functions like precision fire, shield removal, explosives, and close-range fighting across the board, with each of you knowing what needs your attention and what to just leave to your pals. Number 19, co-op increases more than just the enemy numbers. If you're indeed bringing the boys along, know that the campaign scales according to how many of you are jumping in and the difficulty you're taking on. That means you could see more enemies instead of just more powerful versions of existing ones, and more intelligent responses to your attacks, such as avoiding grenades, better targeting, and more tactical retreats for shield recovery. It gets harder the more of you there are, which is what's going to make your victory feel that much sweeter when it finally arrives. Number 20, use your personal difficulty modifiers generously. While we're still on the subject of co-op, you get to adjust important parameters like your damage resistance, the recharge speed of your shields, your melee damage, and even ammunition options. If you're teaming up with pros and need that extra hand, Campaign Evolved has got you covered, and you don't need to sit out the action or even force your more experienced comrades to insult their skills on a lower difficulty. However, certain challenge-focused achievements are going to be out of your reach when they're on, so keep that in mind and try to phase them out once you get into your groove. And that's about it. You're going to be dominating the battlefield in no time once you remember these little nuggets of wisdom. Master Chief's already a force to be reckoned with, to be sure, and in the right hands, he's a powerhouse like no other. Well, you now have everything you need to make that your reality and have a heck of a fun time doing so. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.